how to refocus a mind that's overwhelmed from multitasking. That's the topic for this week. But before we jump into that, let's have a quick update on the current challenge. So it's a weekly kilometre count of 65 Ks, and this gives an overall kilometre count of 1,096 kilometres out of the 2,600 kilometre goal, and leaves 28 weeks of the challenge remaining. So a very standard week of running again. All the runs were done in the Adelaide Hills, and there's nothing really too much to report. Body's feeling nice and solid, and looking forward to the weeks to come. So let's jump in to the topic for the week, and that is how to refocus a mind that's overwhelmed from multitasking. And first off, let me just say how challenging it is to stay focused in the modern world. With so much information in the palm of our hand, it's so easy to get pulled in an infinite amount of directions and wind up feeling overwhelmed and lost. So that leads us in to step one, which is recognize that you are overwhelmed. It may seem like an obvious one, but in the moment you can be so caught up in the emotion of feeling frustrated and overwhelmed that you might not actually recognize that you need to take a break. So this leads us in to step two, which is stop everything that you're doing. So this is all about giving your mind the opportunity to actually unwind and take a break. And to do this, I recommend either going into a quiet room free of distractions for 15 minutes or going out for a nice short walk in nature. You can also try taking some deep breaths, which can be great for relaxing the mind and body. Moving on to step three, assess whether you are hungry or dehydrated. The brain runs on glucose, and if you haven't eaten anything in a while, there's a high chance your blood sugar levels are going to be low and your mind isn't going to be functioning optimally. The body is also 60% water on average and requires an adequate amount of hydration to continue functioning at its best. So if you haven't had a drink in a while, take one and see if it gives you a mental boost. Moving on to step four, establish your high priority tasks. If you haven't done so already, create a task priority list so that you know which tasks are the most important to complete first. If you don't do this and continue to let your mind get pulled in whatever direction, you're most likely going to end up feeling overwhelmed and frustrated again. So this leads us to step five, which is do one task at a time. This is probably the most important step, as it ensures that you get your current tasks done to the highest possible standard and also prevents you from multitasking and falling back into feeling overwhelmed and frustrated again. A great way of keeping yourself focused on the current task is to leave your phone outside the room. When the phone's sitting nearby, it's so easy to see the notifications popping up and be tempted to check them. So when it's outside the room, you just don't have that temptation. Another great way of keeping yourself focused is utilizing the Pomodoro technique. This technique involves focusing for 25 minutes and then taking a 5-minute break and then repeating the process again. This is a great technique for preventing your mind from becoming too overwhelmed for having to focus too long, as it knows after 25 minutes that it gets a nice 5-minute break. I hope this video has been beneficial for you guys, and hopefully it helps when you're feeling overwhelmed and frustrated from too much multitasking. As always, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.